So I think I can take some questions first. Anyone has any questions, please? Whether in person or on Zoom. No questions. Maybe that is good. Good sign or bad sign. Yes, please. Okay, please.
Hello, Susan. I'm not sure. Hello, Mary Camille. Hello, everyone on Zoom. Nice to see you all. Susan Bauer asked, I'm wondering if Geshe said anything about today's partial solar eclipse. From a Hindu perspective, it is said to stay indoors, meditate, and fast. Does the Buddhist tradition say anything similar?
Yeah, you do find something. Full moon, new moon, solars are kind of advised to do more practice, more powerful days. Why there are more powerful days? I'm not 100% sure. There can be something to do with wind energy. There can be something to do with I had a discussion with one of the friend Geshe, about we have this ceremony every full moon and new moon for the monks, and also generally full moon, new moon are special day or more powerful day to practice than the other days. So he told me, even I haven't read myself, but he told me that in some of the Vinaya scriptures, there was explanation that during the full or new moon, there's more wave in the oceans. Because of the more wave, more fish or animals are kind of carried away on the shore and dies and that. And so doing ceremony or practice on that day and dedicating, that is more powerful. In some, there was, he told me he saw that explanations. But also His Holiness also explained that he found during those solar and sudden days, the breath is much more subtle. He noticed that the breath is, if you pay attention, very subtle, almost you are not breathing. And he said he explained a couple of instances, like one time he was traveling to Europe or something, and he was not even aware it was solar and that. He felt something about his breath, and later then when he checked it, it was that, and also he had experience, so again, because of that, for practitioners who work with their channels and chakras and that, it is a more suitable more powerful, suitable, for those practitioners. So I think there are certain reasons why those days are kind of regarded more powerful days to do the practices and encouraged to do practices. So yeah, and that is all I can share, all I know. I think that probably there's much more information out there that I don't have access, that I don't know, but that is the only thing that I know about that. Yeah. Any questions? Okay. Very soon.
So Geshe, you were talking about the seven limb practice, and at the end you mentioned which ones were more about purification and which ones were more about accumulating merit. And I got a little bit mixed up. So could you repeat which ones were more?
Of course, all those practice is not exclusively just creating merit or purifications, such as like prostrations. Is creating merit as well as purification, but it is more strong with the purifications. That could be said same with the Vasada purification practice. It's mainly purification, but at the same time, by that practice, you also create merit, but more with that. And that can be said with other practices. The rejoicing offerings, those are mainly to create merit conducive conditions, but also, it also can purify, maybe not as strong with other practice, but still that. And then in terms of the requesting to turn the wheel of Dharma and the requesting to stay until the samsara ends, or until each and every sentient being is liberated, it's just different way of putting it, but at the same, it's also more of accumulating merit, even though again it can function as a purification accumulation merit, but it is more related to accumulating merit, And then the dedications is more of protecting all the virtues and increasing, improving, or multiplying or increasing the virtues. So yeah. Yes, please.
Thank you so much, Geshe-la. So I'm looking at the text right now. During the portion of the practice where we are reciting Mingmei, it seems to me like there's so many opportunities for different types of meditation and reflection, whereas it's purifying any negative karma created with the guru, broken samaya. We could also then focus on even the deities, purifying, getting help from Manjushri, from the deities, right? From Manjushri, from Avalokiteshvara, from Vajrapani. And we could focus on the wisdoms. So out of all of those practices, I guess my question is based on the wisdom part of, if we're trying to accumulate wisdom, purify obstacles to realizations and wisdom using, I don't know, there's great wisdom, clear wisdom here, quick wisdom, those. Could you please give advice on, you gave one already during the practice, but could you please give more advice on that part?
As I mentioned before, there are many different visualization, many different practice related to it, and so it depends on what you are working on. You know, if you want to work more on cultivating the wisdom, and even wisdom, there are 7 kinds of wisdom. Which wisdom you want to focus? You know, some people might want to have, you know, more interested, or they want to have more the great wisdom, you know, clear wisdom, whatever wisdoms. And so then that can be the main practice of that. Or you are focusing on, you know, the guru, the actual guru yoga itself, you know, guru devotion. Then again, you know, the practice you focus on contemplative, as explained in lamrim, as well as the visualizations, you know. So if you want to focus on compassion, bodhicitta, then again, while you do that, you can meditate on loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta. So it depends on individuals where you want to focus more on, and then try to do that practice that is related more with that. This practice, like many, most of the other deity practices are similar like that, you know, or where you want to focus on it, because this practice can be very, very extensive, can be short. You can focus on all 7 wisdom in one session, or you just want to focus on one wisdom, you know, for one session, or maybe for 1 week, or for 1 month, just one wisdom, and then move to the next wisdom. So again, you know, so it depends on the individual, their time, what they want to work on, you know, where they want to work more on, you know, and depending on that, then, you know, one can focus on that particular aspect of the practice. Yeah. Any others? Yes, please. Yep.
Very expansive to be here with you and your teachings, and let's say more than usual, I'm able to grasp and understand and feel what you're talking about. But then when you're not here, then it sort of shuts back down, and I can't, and I know this, I know I'm very available now, but then how do I deal with knowing that I'm shutting, you know, I'm get back into my doubts and my, yeah, I'll just put doubts that come up.
Of course, maybe, you know, due to certain karmic connection or other connections, someone might feel more inspired when you are in person with any individuals. But again, you know, the main thing is, you know, again, we have to work with our minds so that we don't rely on that physical all the times. It is not possible. One day, either someone pass away, we pass away, there's always going to be that. And so therefore, you know, we have to focus on the teaching themselves, the practice themselves, whether the person's the teachers or the person's there or not, or the practice advice they give, and trying to work on that, and thinking that by working that practice is same as being in the presence of that beings. You know, if we don't really apply those practices, then even we are being in presence of that beings, you know, then even though we might get some temporary benefit, feeling more peace, feeling more inspired. But again, it might not go very deep unless we try to go in more deep beyond that. And I think that is important. As we mentioned, as part of this practice, if we have that kind of strong practice of proper reliance with the Guru and with this Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, then as with that, we imagine, visualize they are in our heart, at our heart, on the heart lotus petal, always there. And so then we try to feel the presence of them all the time. They are not there physically, but they are there all the time. So that it's not that we are so distant from them. And so focusing on the inside, not the physical aspect, can be helpful, I think maybe. And that is another thing that I've observed and see. There's so many students over the period of times at different stages where their practice gets kind of degenerated or kind of they lose the track of their, when the teacher is no more there. And I feel very sad to see that. It happened when Lama Yeshe passed away. Many students, some students kind of left the Dharma, went in different directions, didn't continue. And I think maybe in that case, maybe there was something missing, something wrong. Maybe you are attached to the person itself, and then when that person is no more there, then you don't have the same inspiration or same, because the inspiration or whatever peace or whatever is giving you is, I think, not very strongly rooted from your practice, but it's more from being attached to that beings. And so that shouldn't happen, whether the teachers continue, especially when teachers are normal, their practice should get more stronger. It's like, now I have to practice even more effort because the teacher is not there. Instead of diminishing your practice, it should encourage your practice more. And in relation to His Holiness Dalai Lama shared a story about his own experience when he lost his teacher, Gyaptiling Rinpoche, the previous Gyaptiling Rinpoche, because he was very close to him. And he said, for him, he was everyone, like father, mothers, teachers, everything's that he relied on. He always felt that there was a mountain behind him that he can rely on, he can feel on if he needed help and guidance, help. But when his teacher passed, he felt at that mountain that he felt that he was relying on or feeling comfort from that was collapsing, that was taken away. So that was, but then he said, now, because I don't have this mountain where I can rely on, now I have to take more responsibility myself. It's like that before I rely on my parent to help, but now my parents are no more there, that I have to be on my own feet and I have to be able to stand up for myself and not wait for someone else or someone to come. And in that way, that it inspired His own Dalai Lama to take more responsibility and to work even harder, and that can be example that we can take on.
I think I read this story, and one of the things that impressed me too was he felt like he just couldn't go on at first when his teacher died, because he'd been so important, mother, father, teacher. But then
But then he overcome it, and then that was how his first reactions or his first feeling, and kind of.
And I think
Definitely.
that's important process to dive into the hopelessness of it, the situation temporarily, whatever's,
Mhm.
and then come back.
Yeah.
I wanted to make one other comment about your teaching about speaking to your teacher about any mistakes. And that was very, very helpful. Not writing the teacher off because he makes a mistake and you're aware of it, but to speak to it and if possible, and to accept it. That was very, very helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And again, as I said before, whatever we see, sometimes it's hard for us to know is my perceptions, whether there's something to my perception, whether there's nothing to my perception, there's something there from there. It's hard for us to really realize and understand that, in terms of mistake, whether it's your teacher or whether it's your friends, Dharma friends, Dharma brothers, sisters, or your biological families, whatever, sometimes it's very hard for us to know, even though we feel it is all there. But we have found many times later, not at that moment, but later, it was not there. It was from outside. But at the same time, we cannot say there's nothing there and he or she didn't make any mistake and it's all my perception. That is also another kind of, can be an extreme in that way, and then, allow the others to do whatever they want to do and not taking any action to protect when harm is done or when harm is being done. But as Lama Tsongkhapa mentioned in Lama Gyäma, and His Holiness also mentioned many times, is whenever we see any kind of faults in our teachers, regardless whether it's coming from outside or is something there, but trying to look in something positive, just like we talked about yesterday, like in Lojong's, and then helping us to, transform our negative feelings into something more positive, and not to be, kind of not allow that to lead our mind to be so negative about it, And so that is the key, And while we acknowledge maybe it's not perfect, maybe they show some shortcoming, but at the same time, to be able to, focus more on the positive qualities and positive side. And that is, and even in terms of finding a teachers, of course, ideally, we all want the perfect one, ideally, in everything, isn't it? We want the perfect teachers, we want a perfect partnership, you want the perfect house, you want perfect job, everything we want, whatever we want everything perfect. We want the perfect centers, we want the perfect bed, we want the perfect car. That's what we want. If we can have ideally, that's wonderful. But the reality, the fact is, you want that, but you might not have the perfect all the time, many times. And so in that cases, we try to compare even that person is not perfect. Even he or she has shortcoming and some, faults or not perfect and shortcoming. But does he or she has more better quality than that? If he or she has more better quality than the more negative qualities, then I think it should be quite safe, Uh, and that is where, and as we mentioned, it doesn't have to be, perfect sometimes. Sometimes someone who is imperfect can even help us more, because as I mentioned yesterday, because of different karmic connection and many others. Sometimes, we relate with that person more than someone who is more enlightened, perfect, but we find some difficult to relate with that. It feels like they are two, they are from different planet, different beings, and it feels like we can't be them. It's like, whereas you feel someone who is like myself or like yourself, but who has made some progress and improved, and that give you more inspirations. There was a story of some of disciples of Milarepa saying him, oh, you must be manifestation, reincarnation of this Buddha, this great master, this and that, because of course they have a pure visions and they have that, and so they say, you must be reincarnation or manifestation of this Buddha or these great masters, past ones. And Milarepa kind of almost called them and said that is like criticizing the karma, he said. And he said, you are saying that every hardship that I went, I didn't really go through that? Is that what you are indicating? That all the hardship I went in this life and achieved what I achieved, you are saying this? I didn't go through all of this because I was already Buddha? And he almost called them and said, it's almost like criticizing law of cause and effect. That, I reached wherever I reached because I went through all this hardship, all this practice. And that is how I reached there. And then that is, sometimes that kind of is encouraging someone like Milarepa, who was at the very beginning of his life, who was so negative and harmed so many people, took life of others. Someone later turned to the Dharma and really committed himself to a lot of effort, and he became one of the greatest masters, one of the greatest inspiring masters, teachers, enlightened. And that kind give us a lot of inspirations. Inspiration because he was imperfect to begin with. And someone who is imperfect and to make that progress. And for us, give us hope. I'm imperfect. If Milarepa, who was imperfect and if much more worse than me, if we can achieve that, I have an opportunity, I have the potential to do that. So I think sometimes, so like from that perspective, again, trying to look from that perspective as well. Yeah, okay. Any other questions?
Yes, so there's one from Teresa online who asks, is Geshe planning to return to California this year?
Yeah, I'm visiting end of the November, and then the last 2 weeks of the November. So one weekend in Basarpani and one weekend in Land of Medicine Buddha. Yeah, and that would be my kind of last stop in state for this. Yeah. Yes, there, down.
Thank you, Geshe Lha. It seems like quite something from the other side of guru devotion from the guru. Like, it must be quite the responsibility to have students or disciples. Just contemplating devotion, kind of going both ways. I'm sure that I wondered if you would speak about from the side of guru.
From the side of Guru, they just enjoy it. You know, it is from the student side where all the hard work need to be done. From the Guru side, they just go to the beach, have a cup of drink, enjoy, have some sun bath.
But we make a mess, so I mean, it can't be that enjoyable.
Day.
Yeah. Yes, of course, you know, as part of those qualifications, talk about the Guru, you know, those are the things as a Guru, as a qualified, authentic Guru, then, you know, they need to develop true compassion to the students, have patience with the students. And so there are many other qualities that they need to, if they don't have those qualities, they need to develop more. If they have those qualities and not fully developed, they need to work more to develop those, you know. And so that is where both, unless the Guru is already fully enlightened or they don't need to work on, then the Guru ever has a responsibility to have all these qualities that is needed to be that kind of authentic, qualified Guru. And so it is a homework for both. It's not one side. Yeah. So I don't know whether I answered your question, whether that was question or not, but
Can I ask another one?
yes, please.
So it seems like the appearance of guru, like when we have that karma, is so powerful and profound, that relationship. But having so many obscurations, I know I've asked you this before, but it takes me years, I think, to get the answer because of my own obscurations. But with the attachment that comes in that relationship, that for me as a low practitioner, how to help that, because it's not like a relationship of devotion that I have with my kids, friends, partners. It's a completely different relationship with I have no context for that. I have no memory of experience or of how to handle the attachment.
Yeah, you know, just as we don't want to be attached to your children, your partners, your parents, or any, because if we're attached to any of them, we suffer more. We suffer more, you know. When we're attached, a lot of time, we go through all this unnecessary fear, worry about that. Nothing you can do about it, just in your mind. there's all fear and worry, oh, this could go wrong, or this could go wrong, or maybe something might go wrong, something might. We don't know whether it's going to happen or not. Even it happens, a lot of times there is nothing we can do about it. But you just go through all this unnecessary fear, worry, and all that. And if something happens to them, then the pain is so strong. Then who is not so attached? They still feel sadness and pain, but not to that, kind of overwhelming kind of pain and that. And then that lead to many others, negative feeling, thoughts, not knowing, not being able to deal with that pain can then, lead to different, sometimes being harsh on ourselves, blaming ourselves, maybe even when it's not fault of yours, but then in our mind we start to blame ourselves. I should have done that. I shouldn't have done that because I didn't do that, because I did that. That is why happened this and that. Or we blame someone else and saying, oh, no, because of this person, that is why this happened, this. And again, all these negative feelings arise either with yourself or with others, bitter and anger, all this comes because of attachment. The stronger attachment, the more. And that's same, whether it's attachment to your teachers, whether it's attachment to your student, whether it's attachment to your partner or anyone, it's same. So therefore, with that understanding, and attachment, keep us in samsara, even your attachment to your teachers, and with that knowing, then we learn to not be attached, instead we learn to follow their advice, teachings, not get attached to their physical being, instead we try to, if we have true devotions, then the point is, how can I take their advice, instruction, teachings, and apply that? Really taking more seriously and really applying them. And that should be the kind of the result of such devotions. And if they are around in physical, that is great. Even they are not around that, still you have enough teachings, instructions, advices to work on. And by working on that, you are keeping them alive, being in present, Sometimes different practices, commitment practices that I do, and which I've received from different teachers. And when I do that, I always remember them. So they are not present in present physically, but mentally, emotionally, they are present there. I'm aware of their contributions in my spiritual life practice. Because of them, I'm able to practice this. So, and so whether they are alive or not, even when they are alive, how they are going to help is by teachings, advice. And so through that kind of, I think, understanding, I think we have to learn to let go of attachment to even our teachers and not get attached to that. Like everything, if you're attached, it can lead to disappointment and a lot of other pains, and so, and that is how we work with different meditations in letting go of attachments, We can think of impermanent, the impermanent of teacher itself, impermanent of ourselves, impermanent of our relationships, impermanent, everything's, so there's no point in holding something so tightly when it's going to disappear anyway. You cannot hold tightly. You cannot hold it so concrete and tightly because the nature of everything is so unstable, impermanent, ever changing, and is unrealistic and to hold so tight and so solidly. And so through such meditation, impermanent meditations on emptiness, and so there are many different meditations. And then again, whatever particular meditation that one finds helpful, you try to apply those different meditation techniques and see if any of them is more effective to yourself in letting go of attachments, whether it's teacher or whether it's anyone else. And then, yeah, I think that's all I can share. Yeah.
Thank you, Geshe.
Yeah, and as I mentioned at the very beginning, I've noticed, so many people get so attached to the teachers, and in long term, it is might not be so great, we all talk about impermanent, letting go of attachment all the time. That's what we study. That's why we try to reflect on. From the first teachings of Four Noble Truth, the first teaching Buddha gave is all about impermanence. Last teaching he gave was impermanence. Verbally and in actions, not only he gave teaching verbally on impermanence, but by showing, even Buddha himself need to live by showing that, and so therefore, with such, by taking those teachings more seriously and contemplating, then we try not to get attached to even teacher, not to get attached to even the Dharma, not to get attached to the result of the Dharma, even the enlightenment. And otherwise, when you're attached to Dharma, when someone criticizes Dharma, we can be upset and angry, defensive, and then offensive. That comes because you are attached to your Dharma and that response. If someone is not attached, they can just let it go. This is how they feel. I don't feel that way, but that is how they feel. That's it. You don't agree, you don't feel that way, he or she feel that way, but that is it. You don't feel so upset and angry, and so defensive and so offensive from that. And same thing with the teacher. When someone criticizes your teachers, and again, you disturb you upset you. Why does it disturb you? Why does it upset you? Maybe your teacher is not upset with that, but we get upset and angry and that. Why? Because we're attached to the teachers. And so therefore, again, such attachments is not healthy and beneficial. So we shouldn't get attached to even the teachers, which we hold very dearly in our heart, whom we hold very highly, regard very highly. Even that, we should not try to have any attachment. Okay.
Geshe, Susan Bauer has a question.
Yes, please.
One more. Susan, would you like to unmute?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for these teachings. I'm sorry not to be there in person. But I really appreciate this conversation about the guru and letting go and non-attachment, both because I know you're planning a transition from our center, and also a very dear teacher of mine for 30 years recently died and passed away. So I've been processing that. But you had said something once that really helped me with what you're talking about, how to get more inspired instead of, feeling depressed that you don't have the teacher. And I know we do the dedications, I'll lead all and I vow to lead all beings to enlightenment. But in one teaching you said, I myself will ... And every vow that we made, you added that word, I myself, and you spoke quite a bit about that. And I don't remember which teaching that was. And I also never heard that in any other of my Buddhist teachings, to add that word, that emphasis, I myself will do this. But I found it very inspiring, and to remember that each of us, as you said, that the goal is really to apply those teachings and not just rely on the teacher, but rely on the teachings. So do you remember when you said that, or if you just added that, or if it's in a certain teaching that you offered us? Thank you. That's my question.
Okay. Yeah, I think for immeasurable, and also maybe when I might have talked when we are differentiating the, the compassions of the Bodhisattva and compassion of the Arhat. The compassion of the Arhat has this strong wish for all sentient beings to be free from suffering, cause of suffering. They have this strong wish, all sentient beings to have happiness and cause of happiness. The Bodhisattva attitude is even more stronger. I myself would free all sentient beings from all suffering, cause. I myself would lead all sentient beings to happiness and cause of happiness. So that kind of Bodhisattva's attitude for compassion more strongly, in sense they take that responsibility on themselves to do that, not only wishing someone to be happy, but actually taking the responsibility on themselves to make that person happy. Not only wishing someone to be free from their pain and suffering, even though it's sincerely, and even though it's not just kind of sincerely feeling that, but at the same time, not having the courage to take the responsibility on oneself to free them from suffering. Whereas the Bodhisattva attitude would be, they have so much courage. Not only they wish, they will take this courageous attitude of that I myself will kind of free them from suffering and cause of sufferings. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, now I remember that was with the Bodhisattva teaching. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Yeah. Okay. If no questions, then I don't know. Let me. We were on the Mixema. I think in terms of practice, as I mentioned, I didn't have time to go each of them, but kind of. And here the Mixema is the main. And again, in understanding on this Mixema, the phrase, I mentioned how powerful it is because it is actually Lama Tsongkhapa offering to his teacher, actually his teacher saying, you are more qualified to you, and by changing the name, he gave back that praise. And again, in understanding, as I mentioned, one understanding is, by understanding, Lama Tsongkhapa is inseparable from the Manjushri, Vajrapani, and Avalokiteshvara. In essence, they are same. That's one way of looking at that. Another is, that his inner qualities of wisdom is equal to Manjushri. His compassion or bodhicitta is equal to same and equal to Avalokiteshvara is the power to overcome the four maras, is again equal to Vajrapanis, and also again through that understanding, then again, one can try to feel that way, So again, whatever kind of make you more easy and more kind of relatable. Like as I mentioned, many practices, there are many different ways of doing it, and sometimes if you do it where you cannot relate, then you are forcing yourself to do that. You are not correcting, but it is like, I must feel that way. I should do this way. And then that doesn't have a good result. And so, it should be something that is relatable for you, and so that again, there are two different ways of understanding the verses of this phrase of Mithema, through that understanding. And in terms of visualization, also there are many visualizations. As there's a visualization, those three deities in each of those Lama Tsongkhapa two sons, or all three deities and Lama Tsongkhapa himself on the crown and the throat and at the heart. There is that visualizations again. Or you don't, as I mentioned, most easy is then white Om, red blue Hum, which symbolize or represent, the Vajra body, speech, mind, as well as those in three deities. So again, so there are so many quite different visualizations, and see what or sometimes you try to do one, and other times you try to do a different visualization. Also, you can kind of experiment and try to see, which one seems to be more effective, more powerful for oneself. So those, yeah. And while we are reciting the Mixema, again, when you are doing really focus on Guru Yoga, then we try to focus what we discussed yesterday and today. But also, if you are doing it for long, if you are doing many sessions, many hours each day for a period of time, or weeks, months, then again, you can also work with other different lamrim topics while you are still reciting that, but you can still work on, meditate on bodhicitta, you can meditate on the emptiness, you can meditate on other subjects as well that you want to work on. So those are the, and here is not only with here that apply to all other practice, also with other deities as well. While you are reciting the mantra of that deity, at the very beginning, you do the visualizing and cleansing all the negative energies, and then you try to visualize receiving the blessings, and then you try to focus on whatever meditation you want to focus on, while be able to continue to recite. So you don't have to focus so much on the mantra itself. And in this, it's 4 line, 5 line. You memorize, you should be able to memorize. It's only 4 line or 5 line. And if you memorize, then you don't have to focus on the word, and then you can actually do those contemplation or visualizations. If you don't know the word, then you are just trying to focus on the word, then it's hard to do the contemplation or visualizations properly while you are still reciting that. So again, those are the things that you can try to. Mm. And in terms of the 7 wisdom, as I mentioned before, you want to focus on one wisdom, for a certain period of time, for weeks, for months, and then you can focus on the next wisdom for a certain period of time, and that again, while you recite the Miksema, you try to do that visualizations as well in relation to that wisdom. Because if we try to do too much at the same time, there's no time to really feel it. That is what you are just trying to finish everything and and finishing. And there is no time to really spend time and feel each of that. And if you don't feel it, then it's hard to have transformations. There's a benefit of reciting it, but these are for transformations, and if it doesn't really touch your heart, if you can't feel it, then that is why, too long. For someone more advanced practitioner, then it wouldn't be problems because they don't have to spend so much time to feel it. They already feel most of those. Visualization, they don't have to spend so much because of familiarity, so much advanced. They can visualize the whole mandala instantly in a very few moments without having to spend so much time. In terms of feeling each of those, whether it's the faith, whether it's the bodhicitta, they can feel it because of, it's like you just touch on and then that just comes, But for beginners, you have to spend time trying to do. And that is why, like you might have noticed, that I'm not so good at completing all the practices that even here we couldn't complete the whole practices. And as you see in also other practices when I lead, I kind of seem to skip some of them, and to give enough time to contemplate some of the main important points. Otherwise, it will take 2 hours just to finish whole practice without having to really spend time to reflect. And then, so that is why here also in terms of the wisdom, because there are like 7 wisdom and then other practice related, and then there's also the glance lamrim meditations on the by using the foundation of good qualities. But again, if we go slowly, really trying to contemplate, trying to visualize properly and go through all that, it could take 3 to 4 hours. And one, we don't have time, we don't have energy. By an hour, we feel exhausted, And then instead of inspiring, you might start to feel negative. Why is it so long? Why is this? Why we need to do this? Your mind starts again negative because you are tired. And so instead of it, that can happen. And so, but when you do yourself, you can go slowly each part. I think I don't know where I was. In one place I was leading, teaching and leading, and in that, we do first section more extensive. The first session. Second session, I didn't spend so much on that. We'll go quickly, and by the time you finish whole, then you get more extensive each of them fully, because we don't That's why we don't have the time. And then there is the request, then the foundation would call this, which is the lamrim glance meditations. Again, this is just you can use three principal action of the path as well to do the glance lamrim meditations, depending. Also other Lama Tsongkhapas, you can use also the song of the experience, that too, So whichever you use, but it's basically is doing the glance lamrim meditation. Glance meditations means you go through quickly points without going so details, and you focus on one subject for certain period of time, and others you just go from glance. And then next, you move to the next subject, you spend more time on that over the period of time. All other subjects of lamrim, you just go to the glance. So you are familiar with that. So that is what glance meditation lamrim, and then there is the last one is the descending, and as I mentioned, there are different practices in relation to that but this one is descending, Guru Lama Tsongkhapa descending in your heart, and then as part, whenever we eat, we can think I'm making offering to the Guru Lama Tsongkhapa in my heart. Whenever I drink, I'm making offering to this Guru Lama Tsongkhapa. Whenever we take bath, we can say I'm offering the bath to Guru Lama Tsongkhapa. So again, we can use, throughout the day, when we eat, when we drink, in relation to that Guru Yoga, making offerings to that Guru Lama Tsongkhapa, when we go to bed, we can try to, imagine that we are like a child going to bed by having their lap on the mother's lap. We can just imagine, visualizing that we go to the bed on the lap of Guru Lama Tsongkhapa. And so therefore, again, always under their care, under their wings, So again, we can try to bring this practice, Guru Yoga, not only on cushion when you're doing that, but throughout the day, So yeah, and then there is the dedication. So I think that is all. So then we do the dedications, final dedications, if we can be shared. Page number 21, because I know some also of you are driving back 5-6 hours. So again, there was some request to do the transmissions, oral transmission Ganden Lha Gyäma. But again, those who are not ready, not interested, you don't have to think that you are receiving it. You just stay here. You can take it as blessings or some things. But, though for those who they feel they are ready and for that, and you try to generate the motivations to take it as oral transmissions. And Ganden Lha Gyäma, Rabba Shoda Bonde, Choji Yabo Bonja Losa, Sedan Cheba, Nede Shedo, Dunyan Nama, Sante Pende, the Lama Gebe, Talo de Sonam Shinjo, Empagate, Kaja Shedo, Sheje Jungo Javo, Pesana, Ginjule, Tabe Begil, Tamen, Tonde, and Bet Monda, Yoncho, and other meadow, Tushan to be another. Motion you do children gather so now some joke la chaba, but you told me to Nesaba, Longa gaming it. About the Muslim game, in the about our so that Niman do them on the dollar, the trigger from bed at the Umboki, things about that's just about and there. This will Lama Tamba can get Chogo, like in that in the net, that's some bed to Jemma, Saki Chagi, Chaba, of the Dagichinis, Abe Yawa, and not do up on that. Kabaji on Losan Tamba, the many more and those are Jesho, Nime, the Cheres, to make him be on Bojam. The woman legend just somewhere that on JKB, looking from Losan Tamba, Shabla, so the Nime, the Jencheres, to make him be on Bojam, the woman legend, somewhere, on JKB, looking from Losan Tamba, Shabla, so the Nime, the Jencheres, to make him be on Bojam. The woman legend just somewhere, on JKB, looking from Losan Tamba, Shabla. Palenza Lama Rimboche, Dagi, Ninga Bime, Shola, Kadi Chamber, one is just on the Kusum to Jam or Sarako to Java, Joshin Yamato. Yavanga Velamsa, Daniel, Kijisam, and Towa Magi, Kajalam Gish, the Chandler, that neither me. To many Banyan and somebody cares on to Banyan watch about it, the notion that you did not about it. The best of the Sheduk Thubten cho do kundu ge ze be losan ta be be ge da je ba len sa be la ma le mo je da ye yin ge pe me de ba den chen bo ko ne je ku su to je mo do da de cha da kun de ja wa tong ga de ju shin ye mo so je ye we nga be lam sa de ne ki ji sa ma do wa ma ge de me jong nam da zang me tim da de la jen ge ze je be ni de dong cho ge de ni na je ye losan ge be den da ja wa de lim zang de ma do to ba de sa de je chang sim jong da je sa wa losan ge wa ni be de Sile maybe not that show. Okay, we'll do the final dedications. Page number 21. First, maybe we recite in English and then we chant in Tibetan.
Geshe, I'm sorry again. We have a Thanksgiving mandala we'd like to offer as well to you.
Then we do the short mandala.
Okay, can we do that now?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Short mandala, 2 verses. Is that okay? Yes, please. Thanks, Shayla. Tajipu ki ju shing me to tram ri ra ling ji ni de gen pa Sangye Jingdu Mi Te U Wai Droku Nam Dag Sing La Cho Par Sho. The next verse, please. Thanks. May my venerable Lama's life be firm, his white divine actions spread in the 10 directions. May the torch of the teaching of Losang always remain, dispelling the darkness of all beings in the 3 realms. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Hiryateya Me.
I think before we do dedication again, probably, I don't know, maybe Nina might thanks the people who have helped to organize. Of course, we have a lot of volunteers who have been helping the centers to function every day, month by month, year by years, who are supporting from distant as well as here in that. And especially when we organize something like retreat, also there's more need to be done, and then, so again, we'd like to thank and very grateful for all of you to help support so that it makes easy for people who comes, so they can make it easy for them to just be here, hear the teaching, to do the practice, whatever. It make it easy. Sometimes we forget why it was easy for us. There are a lot of other people who make it easy, If we have to manage ourselves, Even when you are trying to manage just one person, when you try to do a retreat or something, you have to prepare so much time and do so many things you have to think and take care of. So we just come and we just listen, we just do the practice, all this because there are so many others who make it happen. So we acknowledge, we remember their contribution and their kindness, and we keep them in their prayers, definitely, And I'd like to thank all of that. And definitely also I'd like to thank Nina, she stepped up when we were having difficult, transitions from previous director leaving, not being able to find someone, and is having that gap to someone to take over. And even though she lived quite distant, she kind of offer and give her time and all of that, and help the center to bring, really good, harmonious, make it good for everyone's people who comes, and also for myself. I have always said from the very beginning, and I've expressed even in public many times from the very beginning, I would be much more happy and inspired to be here if there's harmony, everyone works together, harmony. When there's kind of disharmonies, then it affects everyone's, then you don't want to be in a places where there's disharmony, because it affects negatively. It's not so inspiring. And so that should be the focus of any organization, and especially for Dharma organizations. Definitely we will have differences. We all have different minds. Even we mean good for the centers, even we mean good for the organization, even we mean good for the Dharma, everything's, even the intention good, but we do have a different ideas, opinion, how it should work, how it should move. There's always going to be a difference, even between two persons. I know you all have, those who have partners, you all have experienced that. You always have differences, even just two persons. And so we hear when we talk about institution, organization, we are talking about a lot of peoples. And so there's a lot of different ideas, a lot of different opinions. And those are going to come. And while that comes, and it should be discussed and it should be talked honestly, but that shouldn't create any kind of disharmony in that. And luckily we have done very well, and not that, but again, that should be the focus for everyone's, to create that kind of environment going in the future as well. If I'm not happy with something because, let's say, my voice was not heard because sometimes you cannot implement everyone's voice, because sometimes when there is a conflict voice or opposite ideas, you have to go with one with the by discussing and talking, which is better, and then the other person whose voice or whose idea was not taken might feel my voice was not heard or I wasn't heard. On the basis of that, then one shouldn't feel negative and shouldn't spread negative and shouldn't create that kind of, instead we try to work with our mind. You know, that's all it is, why we have Dharma. And so anyway, that is one thing, you know, I think people who come here feel that, they feel this kind of, you know, harmony, good energies, and that inspired them to come back. That inspired them to be part of the sanghas, all of that, you know, and that should be, or we should continue to work, keeping that. And of course, you know, as the directors and also others who are the board members, you know, Charlene has been board member forever, you know, and definitely, you know, Venerable Tundu, you know, he doesn't say much. He doesn't smile so much. You might be scared of him, but I don't think he will bite you. And you know, also he came in a time when again we were in that transitions, and you know, not having spiritual SPC and not having managers. So he came that time. He took all this. I didn't know that he came as an assistant SPC. I thought he came as a SPC, but today I learned he came as a SPC assistant. So then, since SPC left, he had to take that position, and then we didn't have the manager, so he had to take the position of managers. So he was doing a lot, and he continued to do a lot. And I was saying, I was more worried than him, you know. I told him, I told also when Sharmin was director, also with Nina and with others, you know, we have to take care of. He's doing a lot, and maybe sometime, maybe he doesn't know how to say no, and you know, and we don't want to burn downs, you know, and sometimes when someone does so much, he can do, he does, and sometimes we don't think maybe he or she need a little break or less responsibility, so that they don't get overwhelmed, they don't burn down, you know. And that is good for longevity of the organizations and also the individuals. Not to, and so for that, you know, so what I'm trying to say, he's doing a lot. He has done a lot, he continues to do a lot, and definitely we appreciate and thankful. And hopefully he will continue to offer service for long times. And as a Dharma center, hopefully also Dharma center and the members are able to also support the sanghas more. I think there is less kind of support for sangha in this kind of environment in beside the countries, or because it's something new, you know. It's Dharma is still very new. Dharma is still quite of beginning stages. So people might not have same concept that they might have in East, where Dharma has been for long 1,000 years. And so there might be more support for the sanghas from the community in that part of the world, you know. And so then it becomes more difficult for the sangha members to to retain and to continue to do that. Because if they don't get support, then they have to find a way to support themselves. And that means they might not be able to continue in their path. And we need more Sangha to help the Dharma. People who totally focus their time on Dharma and that they don't have to focus on others, all these too much worldly things to sustain themselves. And so, Sangha is one of the main key to spread the Dharma in long terms. And then for that to happen, there need to be support and again, hope that is able to do in the futures. So yeah, I think those are the few thoughts I wanted to share. Yeah. So maybe, yeah.
I just wanted to add that it is not entirely true that Venerable Dorje doesn't know how to say no, because
Oh, I didn't hear that. What did you say?
it's not entirely true he doesn't know how to say no, Venerable Dorje. Like whenever I ask him, Venerable, do you think you need vacation? Or do you need to take some time off? Or please remember, suddenly he remembers how to say no, I don't need any. There are no words to thank Venerable Dorje for everything that he does for this center. For the longest time, Venerable was not just assistant SPC, he was also partially a director, partially center manager, a Gompa host, and still is, a webmaster, and so on. And luckily and fortunately, many of you here and many of you online have taken over some of the responsibilities, because it's so much easier and so much more fun to have a big team and share the load. We still are not able to do probably even 5% of what Venerable still does in the background. So all the events, every single description of the event, if you saw how much time went into convincing Geshe to agree to do the topic of Guru devotion for his last retreat, and then how much time it took to come up with the title of it and description, and that is multiplied that times 30 events a week and going year round without any breaks. Every single one goes through Venerable Dorje's planning department, which consists of one person that is sitting right here. So thank you so much, Venerable, for everything that you do for this center continuously. You may smile now.
He might escape now. He might just open the door and disappear.
Yes. Yes. And also big thanks to Lou for keeping our website up to date. So Lou is our webmaster and he does all the things on the website. And then Christopher here is doing teacher care. Thank you so much. And Don did it for the last year and a half before Christopher took over. So everybody does their part. No event would ever be possible without Bill and his unbelievable planning talent and staying, sometimes skipping sessions to prepare our lunch and to clean up and everything. And he does it with huge help from Charlene, who knows every restaurant and every place catering food in town. And she's always helping with that. So I don't know, I could probably, and Ferdi just became our new Gompa host. Thank you, welcome Ferdi as well. So everybody is helping. And then I wanted to acknowledge also our Zoom community and Shayla, our incredible Zoom host. Woo-hoo! And then, all of this effort, and that's just people sitting here. There's so many people outside of this room who weren't able to be here. There are many people who help with every event outside of just the regular team. It is a team effort. And when I came here, and Geshe knows that, I kept talking about harmony, because I always say we humans have sixth sense. When we walk into a door to any institution, if there is conflict and tension, we just turn around and walk away, and that's not what we want. And that harmony is created by each and single one of us. So it's not like we walk in and say, oh, you people don't have harmony, you should do something. Like each of a single one of us contributes to that by coming here, by helping with, chatting with each other, by being interested, by, like somebody once said, they walked into a Dharma center and they just saw like 3 closed circles and people were just chatting with each other, they knew each other, and that person was just kind of standing there. Like we have open circles every time. So hopefully each and single one of you experience that when you walk into the center, you're welcome, and we want you to be part of us. There's place for you in our hearts. And that's something that we always stress. And it's something that each and single one of us plays a role in here, and even more so online. So I'm looking at the screens now and at you guys, because we all need to put some energy and effort into it. It doesn't just manifest out of emptiness. It's actually our energy and our organization, our organizing WhatsApp groups, our meeting for coffee and tea and making friends with each other that makes it happen. So please put your energy into it, put your thought into it, and help us make it happen, because that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it possible to make it a long-term project. And we all have probably by now understood that enlightenment is not a sprint. It's kind of, lifetime over lifetime kind of thing. And it's just so much better and easier to do it together. And it's basically impossible to do it alone. So all of it, just a pitch to make more effort to make friends, and that's on each and single one of us. So thank you everybody for helping with that. If you have ideas, like Matthias had an idea today how to make it more possible. So thank you, and make sure keep them coming. It's important. And then Geshe, if you think that harmony is what inspires you, then I think you can never leave Santa Fe. Because it will be hard to find a place with more harmony than we have here. And we keep improving, so.
That is why I spend most of my time here, apart from Nepal and India.
And we continue to work on bringing more harmony, Geshe, so you have more reasons to be here. I wanted to thank you, Geshe, for agreeing finally, after lots of discussions, to talk about Guru devotions to us, and for planting the seeds, for empowering us and making us more confident in creating and nurturing those relationships with our gurus, which are so important in practicing Dhamma in a wise and responsible way. So thank you for giving us that wisdom and for sharing that as the last retreat that you led here for now, before your retreat, and hopefully not the last ever. We hope that you will keep coming back here, but I cannot express how grateful we are for having those teachings, which I know were not easy for you to give, and how important they were to us. And I'm sure that each and single one of us will take a lot to contemplate, a lot to share with others, but also we will all have much more confidence moving forward in creating and nurturing those relationships with the gurus. And that was just one retreat I wanted to say, and there will be more occasions to say that. Geshe, you've been here for many, many years, and every single one of us owes you so much. So there are no words to express our gratitude, but I just wanted to say, and I will continue saying it, you don't just have a center here, you don't have students, you have family here, and we hope that we will continue spending time together and learning from you and learning from your wisdom for many, many years to come. Thank you so much, Geshe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry?
Yeah, Mary.
Okay. I would like to acknowledge everyone sitting here. Also, Mary, for leading the meditation story, and thank you, thank you. C, Alex, Leah, Judith. Judith is the first member of the center ever. 25 years ago, she signed up as our first member, and she's still here. So, every single one of you, we have representation from the Denver Center here. Octavio, who is always here and always helping out with everything. You don't even know how much he does in the center. So every single one of you here is contributing so much. David is doing our water bowls, like when you look at all of this here on the altar. So like everyone I look at, I could speak for half an hour. So thank you so much, everybody, for being part of this family. And thank you, Mary, for helping out so much with not just this retreat, but with everything we do. And Mary is our ritual master and organizer of this entire altar. So everything you see, all this delight for all of us, that's her work and organization. So thank you, everyone. And especially thank you, Geshe, for everything.
Thank you, thank you.
Oh yes, Andrea, Jeremy, all the families. yeah, keep it coming. I mean, there's so many of you. The NC too, yes.
Okay, we do dedication, so I can dedication that we can dedicate for all the volunteers, all the sponsors, all the participants who who make this retreat possible, as well as everyone, again, who's support in different ways to the center, to continue to offer different events, programs for different peoples, and everyone who participate, we can dedicate all the virtues that we have created for good health, longevity, harmonious, peace, and all their wishes to fulfill according to Dharma. And their Dharma path continue to grow and progress smoothly and to achieve enlightenment. So all sentient beings, as well as those who have specifically kind of help. And we can also dedicate for all sentient beings who might be experiencing different health issues, for them to be recovered, cured, be healed, and have a better good health. We can also dedicate for all those who are experiencing different obstacles in their life, whatever those obstacles are. May all the obstacles and cause of the obstacles be eliminated. And may all of them find right solutions to whatever problem. And may all their wishes be fulfilled according to the Dharma. And we can also dedicate for all the healing that has been going for a long time, continue to go, different part of the world. The Ukraine, the Russian conflict, due to the conflict in the Middle East, due to a lot of uprisings in different parts of the country. As well as this country, those killings. There's so much fear, worry among so many peoples in this country and the rest of the countries. May all the pain, the fear, the worry, whether it's due to human beings, whether it's due to natural disasters, there is so much distractions, there's so much pain, there's so much fear, worry about unknown futures. So dedicate for all of them to heal, to be released, free from all of that. And those who have been affected in that way be healed and find more peace in their heart, in their mind. And we also dedicate for all these distractions to end, and the cause of those distractions, and the pain, the suffering. As well as for the change in the heart of those who contribute towards those pain and distractions. So they can find more kindness, compassion, more wisdom. And we also dedicate for those all who have passed away in recent time, wherever they are, may they be free from all the fears in the part of all the suffering, wherever they are. Have a perfect high rebirth, meet the Dharma, actualize the Dharma in their heart, achieve enlightenment. And we dedicate for oneself and all each and every sentient beings to cultivate highest level of bodhicitta and wisdom, realizing emptiness. Those who have already actualized not to diminish but increase more and more. And we also dedicate all the virtues to achieve fully enlightened state as quickly as possible, and free all sentient beings from all their suffering, cause of suffering, and lead them to that fully enlightened state. And we also dedicate to be able to follow the example of those great, our gurus, those great beings, great practitioners, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, to be able to engage in practice like them, follow the path like them. And we also dedicate all our prayer to best as the prayer made by all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, just like their prayer. And due to the time of the merit, which empty from its own side, may I, which empty from its own side, achieve fully awakened state, which empty from its own side, and liberate all sentient beings who are empty from its own side. to that fully awakened state, which is empty from its own side, by myself alone, which is empty from its own side. Okay, then page number 21. So we just chant. Yawadi Nyudoda Lama Tsongkhapa Dugyonem Dowa Chikya Malupa Salam Basho Chancho Sencho Rinpoche Make Pana Ke Kyoshi Yewa Nyamba Me Baya Onle Kondo Dewa. So normally when we recite that, even we don't recite other prayers, when you say Bodhicitta, you think of ultimate Bodhicitta and conventional Bodhicitta, so the wisdom is included there too. And again, we did the long life of His Holiness, again, keeping our mind for the long life of all our gurus. Rave Rave Koe Shinkande Tendan Dewa Malu Chungwe Ne Shere Sewa Tintin Gyatsoe Shabe Siddhe Padu Enkyurochi. Swift return of Lama Tsongkhapa Rinpoche. Fearless teachers and assembly of children of victorious ones, Savaka and Pratika Buddhas, victorious Losang father and son, alone with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge on infinite lands. Please bestow the virtue and goodness accomplished in this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings. Through explanation and practice, you owe the more patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable, venerable Guru, to you I make request, while striving single-pointedly for the sake of victorious one teaching, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge for all living beings. You suddenly departed to peace, what a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of blessing of the ocean of the three jewels, and the great wave of Bodhicitta of children of victorious one, may the smile of reincarnation swiftly beam in the glory of fortune this time. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. And those who need to drive long distance, have a safe long distance drive. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you.